Most Detroiters old enough to remember the rebellion have personal stories to tell about those tragic 5 days in July 1967. My next guests are here to share their experiences. Please welcome Reverend JoAnn Watson, Loretta Holmes, and Kenneth Snodgrass. Thank you all for being here. Reverend Watson, I want to start with you. You, of course, were here in 1967 in Detroit, but went on to a distinguished political career in our city as a member of our city council. Talk about how much different things, I guess, are now than they were when you can remember the things going wrong in 1967.
Well, 1967, which was a rebellion, not a riot. It was a rebellion. Changed my life. I was 16 and went to Central High School with these two individuals. And we felt like it was at the epicenter of our neighborhood. There were tanks coming down our street. I'm the oldest of 10. The youngest of 10 is in the audience. And we actually had to lay on the floor in our house. My father and mother had to lay on the floor with us because if there were lights or even a flash of fire from someone turning the stove on, you could attract fire in your home. Yeah. So we were under siege, and it was bone chilling. Yeah. We grew up to all adolescence went out the window as a result of 67.
Do you feel like the things you experienced then help shape the things that you would go on to do later? Did that inspire you, for instance,
It's colored everything that has happened in my life. Certainly, at the root of the rebellion was the response to police abuse and terrorism. So the fact that the first black mayor in Detroit, the Honorable Coleman Alexander Young, was elected because he vowed to get rid of stress, stop robberies, enjoy safe streets, which he did. Right. He kept that promise. Now, at that time, I was a young board member of the NAACP. I had no idea I would later become the director of the NAACP, but as a young board member, we helped the Honorable Coleman Alexander Young because when he became mayor and absolutely implemented what he promised, he was sued by the union, the police union, the firefighters union, and the NAACP. We joined legally to support the Honorable Coleman Alexander Young. So making sure that our city was respected and honored was something that I felt it in my bones, still feel it. It's colored everything else in my life.
Loretta, talk about what your memory of 1967 was.
Oh my God. I was like a month until my 17th birthday. I worked at Ingleside Nursing Home. As she said, we were classmates. We all graduated together. Ingleside was on Woodward and Claremont, and a friend of mine invited me to the club. It was a club to us, not a blind pig, on 12th and Claremont. So my best friend and I, we left work at 11:30 at night, had my older sister meet us there. And when we got there, as I remember, it was a long staircase going up to the building, going upstairs. And you had to walk up all these stairs. And when you get to the top of the stairs, you could see down the hallway. There was a lot of doors, but they were all closed. To the left was the room that we go in, and it was a large pool table as you walk in the room, a bar, chairs, and tables. People dancing, having a good time. It's just a club. It was a club. And we were going there for someone's birthday party. I don't know whether I was told he had just got out of Vietnam or whatever it was. And about 2:30, 2:45, my girlfriend and I, we said we got to leave because we had to be at work the next day. Whew. And so we started down these steep stairs, and by the time we got down by not even halfway, a sledgehammer came through the door. The door was like wood and glass, and we saw this big white face, and it wasn't a police officer uniform, it was a white man in a shirt and tie. So we turned around and ran back up the stairs. When we got back up the stairs, we ran over to my sister to tell her what was going on, and in that time it was just everybody, nobody knew what to do. You just started hearing pounding on the doors like they were nailing all the doors shut so it could be one way in, one way out. The guys were pulling tables in the middle of the room because at that time they was lowering ceilings and some of the guys were crawling up in the ceilings to get away.
To get away, yeah.
So they lined us up in a single file. We're going down the stairs, stepping over glass and everything. And oh my God, when we got out on 12th Street, it was so many people. It was like a bullhorn. Somebody said, it's a party over here. People on cars, on top of buildings,
wow.
everywhere.
Yeah.
They put us in paddy wagons, about 4 or 5 paddy wagons. And I remember it was all women in our paddy wagon because I started hyperventilating. I didn't know what hyperventilating meant then, but I knew I couldn't breathe.
Right.
It was so hot. And this lady slapped me, you know, like, get it together.
Yeah, right.
And the crazy part is when they started taking us, they went down my street. I stayed on Elmhurst and Linwood. Mm-hmm. The police station was on Elmhurst and Livernois. Uh-huh. And it's like passing your house.
On the way to
the police station.
Yeah, wow.
And when we got there to the 10th precinct, I think it had to be that they took some men first, because when we got there, you could see the men in their cells, and they had their shirts off, they had their do-rags on. It was just like crazy pandemonium. And they put all the women in one cell. And that's where we were until maybe about 5 or 6 in the morning.
Wow.
And when they came in, they said, those that have a ticket or a warrant will be staying. And they let my sister call my parents, and we could hear my dad over the whole police station, like, what? type of thing.
Right, right.
And they let us out. We ended up walking home. We didn't know anything had started until my friend and I, we got up to go to work because she was staying with us. The next day, my dad said, you know, the place you guys was in started the riot. We didn't even know what a riot was.
Yeah, yeah.
We didn't know. We went on to work. But we wasn't even there an hour, and it was like fire engines and police cars and smoke and everything. So they told us we could spend the night there at the nursing home or we could leave. So we left.
Yeah.
So when we started walking home.
Yeah. We were going to run out of time in the segment. But,
I'm sorry.
But I want to give you a chance to talk about how that has shaped the rest of your life. I mean, it's such a vivid experience, and it's right at the center of this event. What did it inspire in you later?
You know what, to be honest with you, as I said, I was young. I really didn't know what was going on. Mm-hmm. It was a lot of things happening. It didn't hit me till I got older, when I drive through the old neighborhoods and say, it's still like this. When you try to explain to your kids or this is where I used to live, but it's not there anymore, right. Or the whole block is gone. I don't know. It hurts now more today because 50 years later, to me, there's no change.
You can't see any difference.
The neighborhoods, the education is so much worse. So nobody's telling the kids. I asked my grandkids, did they ever hear? They don't know anything about it.
Yeah. It's such a moving story, and you were again right at the center of all of that. Kenneth, I want to give you a chance to talk about your memory of 1967.
I was just thinking that a lot of these issues, when we approach them, we do it from a mechanical way. Mm-hmm. And when I look at the '67 rebellion that took place, and even if you want to refer to it as a riot, is you have to look historically in regards to our society and politically, socially, and economically to see what created the conditions for people to want to do something in those particular ways.
Yes.
There was a lot of tension in regards to the African-American community for a long time. You got the worst jobs that was out there. You paid the most money for the food that was rotting in the stores. You had no dignity from a lot of the people who owned the stores that existed there. So even people who went out when the particular rebellion first started might have saw it as a riot. But there was people who came out and recognized this was a question of looking at how society treats African people here politically, socially, and economically. And when you look at that situation and see that African people, no matter what school you go to, the question of your progress and how you move up the economic ladder is really shattered because racism continues to exist.
That's right.
And so because of that nature, you have a depressed society, half of the society being depressed. And the situation, even though we discussed in 1967, we have to recognize this goes back to the enslavement process when it began in this particular country.
You better say it.
And not just in 69, because that's where the tension came from.
That's right.
All of that period of people recognizing, here I have all of this schooling, I have all this knowledge, and I can only achieve a certain level because the racism continues to exist in society that holds you back.
Yeah.
So talk about police brutality. Police was stealing more from African people than we African people stole during the rebellions. More people got killed by police.
That's right.
Because of the nature of the racism inside
like the
our
Algiers
society.
Motel murder.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah.
Sure.
So those kind of things we have to bring the light right now so that we don't approach it and think this was just a limited period where something took place. There was a big situation in '68 with the killing of Martin Luther King.
That's right.
Now, here's a person who says, I don't believe in violence, I believe in nonviolence, and he gets assassinated. And then you turn around and have a group of people saying, well, we have to grow our own food and so forth, the Republic of New Africa.
That's right.
And they having a big meat conference, and they get raided by the police and go to shooting in the church.
That's right.
So we have a lot of tension, which is inside of a lot of people that's been caused because the question of racism in this society. And again, African people cannot be racist. Right. You can be prejudiced. Racism, you have to economically, politically, and socially be able to enforce
that.
Yes.
Yes.
That's exactly right.
Thank you very much.